Go.
Alright, got the keys to the pump truck in my pocket. Got the truck secured with the wheel shocks. Gonna lift the hood and do an engine compartment inspection. First, we're gonna check the fluid levels. This is the power steering fluid here. Check that the fluid that it is in between add and max, proper level. We're going to check the engine motor oil now. Pull it out once, wipe off the oil, push it all the way again, and it is between full and add, right where it should be. Twist it back on to make sure it doesn't rattle out or leak when we're running the truck. Now we go to the other side of the truck. The engine coolant or antifreeze level is in between add and max, so that's fine. Windshield wiper washer fluid is about 3/4 full, so that's fine. Now we're going to check the next thing on our list, which is belts. On this particular truck, we've got 2 serpentine belts. Both of them are nice and tight. I don't see any fraying on the ends. I don't see any cracks. And they're at the proper tension that they won't fall off when the truck is running. I'm going to go check the air compressor on the other side. The air compressor is attached to the engine. It's secure. I don't see any breaks or cracks in it. I don't hear any air leaking. I don't see any fluid leaking from it. All the bolts are secure and hose lines and fittings are secure to it. Now we're going to go to the other side and check the water pump. This is where the water pump's at on this particular truck. It's attached and secured to the engine. I don't see any signs of breaks or cracks to it. The bolts all seem to be here, tight, intact, and the hoses going to it are secure. I don't see any signs of leaks on it. Now we're going to look for fluid leaks and hoses. I don't see any noticeable oil or fluid leaks on the engine. All the hoses to the engine appear to be intact with proper hose clamps. I don't see any ballooning or tight spots on the hose where it's shrunk at all. I don't see any repairs to the hose. I step back, I look under the truck. I don't see any oil or coolant or anything leaking underneath the truck. So now we're going to go over and check the steering box. This is where the steering box is located on this particular truck. It is secured and attached to the frame. I don't see any signs of breaks on it. I don't see any fluid leaking out of it. All the bolts seem to be secured to it. Next thing we check is the steering linkage. The linkage is attached to the steering box, and the bottom part of the linkage is attached to the wheel. It's secured by castle nuts and cotter key pins, which are both intact. The steering linkage itself isn't bent or cracked, broken. Then we're going to check the front suspension. The leaf spring is there, it's intact, it's secured to the frame and to the axle. It's held on by U-bolts. The U-bolts aren't bent. The nuts are secure and in place. The leaf spring is centered on the axle. Next thing we check is the spring mount, and spring mounts, like I said, are secured to the frame. I don't see any signs of breaks or cracks. The bolts are there intact. I'm going to check the shock absorber. Shock absorber is attached to the frame and the axle. It's secure. I don't see any signs of leaks of the shock absorber. It's not bent. It's not damaged. Next thing we're going to check is the driver door and mirror. Here's the driver door. The driver door opens and shuts. It stays shut and it's not loose. Check the mirror. It's secured to the door. All the bolts are there. The blind spot mirror is here and it's tight. The rear view side mirror is here and it's tight. You want to make sure they're tight so they don't wiggle when the truck is in motion. Next thing we check is the fuel tank. The gas cap is tight and secure. There's no signs of leaks. The bands which hold the tank in place are secure, tight. I don't see any signs of them shifting. The gas tank itself has no signs of dents or leaks. The hoses on top of the tank are intact with no signs of leaks, and I don't smell any diesel or see any diesel on the ground. And this concludes this part of the truck inspection.